When I walk up in the club and sing, everybody want to know my name. Yeah, here comes the glass road. Yeah, here comes the glass road.
There are a lot of reasons that people become cops, and a lot of the time it's because people are kind of psychotic. Like they have that little man syndrome where they want to boss people around and they want to have a gun and they want be the man. Sometimes it's because they have a dad who's a cop. Sometimes it's because they need a job. All I know for sure is that it's been a lot of years since I've told everyone about the Austin bomber. And the confession hasn't been released publicly. And that's all I want. I know there are FBI agents out there listening to me no matter what. You know why? Because I know FBI agents in my real life. And more than that, it's because I sent a letter to over 100 FBI field offices. I sent a letter to every single Secret Service office. I sent a letter to every single DEA office, and I told them about the Austin bomber. And the first thing I said in the letter is that I spent all my stimulus money on that letter. It was a big deal that I spent that much money sending out that mail out. And I think that if there's anything I deserve, it's to see the Austin bomber's confession. So if there is an Austin bomber confession, then I think that someone should let me see it. I think I deserve that. Because if I saw it, then I would be like, oh, I am mentally ill. I was wrong about that. But here's the thing. I know what happened. And what happened is I walked into this bar. It was about less than a mile from a CIA base. And this guy was there. And I could tell that he was watching me. And I was looking for a cigarette. So I went outside to go look for a cigarette. And he kind of followed me outside. No one was out there. And we kind of ran into each other for a second. And it was awkward. And then he wanted to meet me. Like the whole night I could tell this guy was watching me. He wanted to meet me. And at that time, a lot of people were trying to fight me. Like within a week, everywhere I went, people were trying to fight me at bars and stuff like that. My brother was in town, and people try to fight my brother too sometimes. It's kind of weird how my brother is. But this guy at this other bar tried to fight me, and he challenged me to a fight, and I don't fight people. So I didn't fight him. And I could tell that the cops were kind of like itching to come after me for some reason. And it's hard to explain how sometimes in my life, the cops are after me. Like they want to fight me. They want to hurt me. And it was one of those times in my life where like everywhere I went, there were like people trying to fight me and stuff like that. And so I'm at this bar. This guy follows me outside. I go back inside. Finally, people start showing up at the bar. He is there, and he ends up in my group. You know, I'm with a group of people. We're all talking. We're outside, and he tells me he's from Oklahoma, that he's an explosives expert that works for an oil and gas company, and he hates Austin, Texas. And there's a guy that has a UT hat on. He keeps talking shit to this guy. I knew the guy from the bar. We're buddies, and he keeps talking about how only steers and queers come from Austin, and he's ranting about Austin. He hates Austin. He's like passionately hated Austin. He was somewhat short. He had a beer belly, but he wasn't fat, but he had a pretty good beer belly. He was in his late 30s. And like I said, he said he worked for an oil and gas company with explosives. So this guy it seems like he wants to get into a fight with the other guy, the guy from Austin. And he also kind of starts trying to fight me. And I told him, I said, just so you know, I don't get in fights. If you try to fight me, I assume that you know who I am. And so I'm not going to try to fight you. I'm going to try to kill you. And he was with this other guy who looked like an MMA fighter. And that is my philosophy. I'm not trying to fight. You're trying to fight. So why are you trying to fight me? I will never throw the first punch. But if you throw the first punch, I'm going to try to use the knowledge that I have to kill you. That's been my philosophy on fighting ever since I found out about the drugs. Because I think that if someone's trying to fight me and I don't know who they are and I'm not saying anything to them, why are they trying to fight me? And this guy was someone that was trying to fight me. And after I told him I don't fight people, I kill people, he got this weird look on his face. and he took off. Wait, no, he didn't take off. Did he take off? I can't remember. He left. And then oh yeah, that's what happened. He got this weird look on his face and he took off and he left me with his friend. And his friend was like this, he looked like a military guy. And this was like the same week. This is probably why everyone was trying to fight me. I accused certain people in the Marine Corps and certain people in the government of blackmailing Donald Trump to control his political appointments, to control who they put on the Supreme Court. And I didn't know who was blackmailing Donald Trump. At the time, I thought it was Jim Mattis, and this guy was like, Jim Mattis is the greatest hero of all time. But I'm pretty sure I was wrong about that. Now I think it was John Kelly and some of the people from the Obama administration. So what happened was this guy that I was left with after the Austin Bomber guy left, because the Austin Bomber guy like went outside, like he got a look on his face, he took off. And I was stuck with this other guy, and the guy told me the soil of freedom needs to be fertilized with the blood of patriots and traitors alike, or something like that. Like he thought that they needed to kill people and start a civil war. And I told him, well, I was like, well, if y'all try to start a civil war, then we're just going to kill everyone. Because I knew we had a biological weapon that we've been waiting on for a long time. And so after that guy took off. And he took off running. He was like, oh, shit. And like he like booked it. And at that point, I knew something was wrong because I thought that they were both going to come back and start shooting or something like that, because like it got that intense. Like when I told the Austin Bomber, I will kill you. I told him, I don't fight people. If you try to fight me, I will kill you. And I had told someone else the same thing less than a week before, because this other guy tried to fight me. He was like a Mexican guy, and he was with this other guy that was really buff too. There were always two of them, and my brother was pretty much passed out because my brother was drunk. And then like he tried to fight me, and I told him, I was like, I don't fight people, I kill people. Like if you try to fight me, I'm gonna kill you because I assume you know who I am. And the thing is, I think those guys weren't even stalking me; they were stalking these Mexican guys from Mexico that I was hanging out with. Because I think they were cops. I think they were stalking these Mexican people that were probably from Mexico. Because sometimes Mexicans come across the border to San Antonio, hang out, they go back to Mexico like pretty quick. But I don't know. None of them spoke English. We were just buddies. They were my friends for the night. You know, that's kind of how it is sometimes when you go out. I didn't even think these guys were stalking me. I thought they were stalking someone else. But then they didn't like that I was hanging out with those guys. I don't know, but maybe they knew who I was. I'm not sure. But that event, when this guy tried to find me, I didn't think that was related to the Donald Trump blackmail situation at all. The Austin Bomber situation, where I met the real Austin Bomber, I thought that was related to me saying that Donald Trump was being blackmailed. And this guy snapped because he thought that the walls were closing in on the federal agents that they were not going to be able to do their job anymore. And so the Austin bombers were happening, or the Austin bombings were happening like within a week of that event, where this guy hated Austin so much, and he was an explosives expert, and they told me they wanted to start a civil war. And then I talked about it on the internet. I gave a description of the guy. The next day, a picture was released that was the exact description of the Austin bomber, of the guy that I met at that bar. And then like maybe 2 days later, Mark Anthony Condit blew himself up. And the cops, anytime they murder someone, what they do is they always set them on fire. Like I shouldn't be talking about this, but I shouldn't be talking about a lot of things. But why am I talking about this right now? Because I have to. Because I have to talk about things that I would prefer not to tell people how to cover up their crimes. If you ever murder someone, light them on fire. It will destroy the forensic evidence. Cops know this. So anytime the cops murder someone, they murdered an Eagle Scout at Baylor. And then he strapped himself into his car, into his Cadillac, lit himself on fire. The ATF said this guy committed suicide by self-immolation. And he didn't even get out of the car. Because the ATF's dirty. The ATF also said the Austin bomber blew himself up. The ATF also says that there's an Austin bomber confession. The ATF is like, they were started during they were a prohibition agency that didn't want to lose their jobs, so they became their own thing. And like the ATF knows all about what happened in Waco with these cops that were shooting all these bikers and murdering them. because these cops were like shooting from rifle, like all these like the reason they dropped all the charges against the bikers is because the cops killed so many of them. So, I mean, that's my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the cops are really good people. They don't murder people at all. But when they do murder people, what they do is they burn them. And that's why they burned Mark Anthony Condit. Because like they don't want any evidence. They don't want any evidence of who planted the bomb, who did this, who made that happen. So anyways, the guy who murdered and framed Mark Anthony Condit, his name's Chief Manley. He's the chief of police of Austin. He is a psychopath. He's the type of person that will murder and frame someone for terrorism. In my opinion, that's a pretty dirty crime. That's dirtier than murder. That's like a very, very dirty kind of murder. He's still in charge of the chief. He's still in charge of the Austin Police Department. No one went after this guy. He should be on death row right now. Instead, the police have covered up for him. Why? Because cops protect cops. If he's a cop, but he murdered and framed someone for terrorism, but he's a cop. Trust me, it's a good thing. It's fine. He needed to murder and frame this guy for terrorism. The problem is, I'm pretty sure James Comey was in charge when they murdered and framed the Austin bomber. I'm pretty sure the ATF chief knows about it because he was in on it. I sent letters to everyone in charge of the ATF also. I've contacted so many offices, but then I haven't gotten a single call after the way that letter starts, which is I spent all my stimulus and Christmas money. I spent $1,000 on that mail out. I don't get a single call. I mean, come on. Why? Like, I mean, the least you can do is release the confession publicly. The problem is if there's no confession to release, how are they going to release it publicly? They can't. So they have to cover it up. And that's the thing. Like, the government's rotten. And the Colorado Springs Police Department's rotten. And there are so many disgusting cops that, like, what happened in Boulder today with all these people dead, like, no one will ever find out what really happened. No one can trust the police anymore. And that's the thing. Like, in my opinion, what's going to happen is millions of people are going to start dying every single day. Might not be this year. Might be next year. But like suddenly everyone who's taking that Pfizer vaccine is going to start dropping dead. And they're all going to say, why didn't you at least tell us that we had an option? Because I'm not saying you can't take a vaccine. I'm saying don't take Pfizer. I'm saying that one's dangerous. Take Moderna. I told them like right away, up the production of Moderna, stop producing Pfizer. And then they went, no. We have evidence that Pfizer is effective. It's very short term. It has an emergency authorization. It doesn't have regular approval from the FDA, but it has emergency authorization just like Moderna. And what I told him is, dude, my people have technology you don't have. My people understand this virus better than you do, and you don't understand what you're doing when you kill that many people. Like, I'm just saying, like, someday you will find out, and it's going to be it's going to be a very difficult time for the FBI. It's going to be even worse for the DEA, though. That's it. I'm out of here. I want to see the Austin Bomber confession because if there's anything I know about the police is that when they murder someone, they light them on fire. That's part of their murdering process because they know all about what happens behind the scenes. And that's why they murdered Mark Anthony Condit the way they did.